All right, today we're going to play medical detective. We'll start with a few really common clues, things you might not even think twice about, and follow them all the way to a single culprit hidden deep inside the body. So let's get right into it.
Okay, detective hat on. Here are your clues. You're bruising from the slightest little bump. You're feeling this deep, unshakable fatigue day in and day out. And you notice your lymph nodes, maybe in your neck, are a bit swollen. On the surface, those things seem totally unrelated, right? But what if I told you there's a single thread connecting all of them?
And the answer, the single condition tying all those dots together, is leukemia. That's the hidden process behind these outward signs. And now, we're going to go deep inside the body to see exactly how it all works.
So, what even is leukemia? Well, the simple definition is right here. It's a cancer of the blood and bone marrow. And the key problem is the runaway production of abnormal white blood cells. But to really get what that means, we've got to go to the source, to the factory where it all begins.
I want you to picture your bone marrow as this amazing, bustling factory. It's working 24/7, just churning out all the different blood cells, the workers, if you will, that your body needs to function.
Now, in a healthy factory, everything is about balance. You've got your red blood cells, which are like the delivery trucks carrying oxygen everywhere. You've got platelets, they're the repair crew, packing up any leaks to stop bleeding. And then you have a smaller but super important team of white blood cells. They're the security guards, fighting off any infections. Every single worker has a job, and the whole operation just runs like a perfectly oiled machine.
But just imagine for a second. What if one of those assembly lines went completely haywire? What if one type of worker started multiplying and multiplying and multiplying until they spilled out and took over the entire factory floor, leaving no room for anyone else to do their job?
Well, that chaotic takeover is the central problem in leukemia. We call it a cellular crowd-out, and it's the exact process that turns our healthy, balanced factory into a complete and total mess.
It's a pretty simple three-step disaster, really. First, these abnormal white blood cells, the leukemia cells, they just start copying themselves with no off switch. Second, they literally start to crowd out everything else, jamming up all the space inside the bone marrow. And the final result? With no room and no resources, the production lines for all the healthy, essential cells, they just grind to a halt. And this is what that looks like. I mean, look at this chart. The factory is now almost completely dominated by these useless, defective white blood cells. And the production of the good guys, our red blood cells and platelets, has been squeezed down to almost nothing. The whole system is completely compromised.
As you can imagine, a factory shutdown like this has some really serious consequences. When you can't make your essential workers, you end up with critical shortages all through the body.
And these shortages all have medical names. A shortage of red blood cells? That's called anemia. Not enough platelets? That's thrombocytopenia. But here's the really wild part. Even though the factory is pumping out tons and tons of white blood cells, they're the wrong kind. They're useless for fighting infection. So you actually have a shortage of working white blood cells, which we call leukopenia. And this is the whole point. The real danger of leukemia isn't just the cancer cells themselves, but the fact that they stop the body from making the cells it desperately needs to survive.
Okay, so let's close the loop. Let's connect all this chaos that's happening inside the factory back to those clues we started with at the very beginning.
And this is where it all clicks into place. That lack of platelets, the thrombocytopenia, means your body can't patch things up very well. And there's our first clue, the easy bruising. That shortage of oxygen-carrying red blood cells, the anemia, that's the direct cause of that deep, profound fatigue. And the swollen glands? Well, all those useless leukemia cells have to go somewhere, so they spill out of the marrow and start to build up in places like the spleen and lymph nodes, making them swell. Bam! Every single clue we started with, solved.
And there are other signs that all point back to this same root cause. The bone marrow can get so jam-packed that it literally hurts, causing bone pain from the pressure. And the body's chaotic state can also trigger other system-wide symptoms, like fevers, night sweats, and losing weight without trying. It all comes from that one single problem, the cellular crowd-out.
This one sentence really just says it all. Leukemia impairs the normal production of red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. It's not just an invasion of bad cells, it's a total shutdown of the good ones.
So I want to leave you with this question. We've just traced a simple bruise all the way back to a full-blown crisis in a cellular factory. So how does knowing the why, the mechanism, change how we see the signs?
It takes them from being these random, kind of scary symptoms and turns them into logical consequences of a specific problem. And that right there, that understanding, is the most powerful first step toward tackling any complex disease. Thanks for digging into this one with me.